I have put together a little lesson plan, used some information that I have from several sources, and we're going to talk about things that, as an agent, we are entering into the spring season. As you can tell by my background, this is spring. So this is where we all want to be, and then we got to work real hard to be able to make enough money to be able to go to places like where I'm sitting right here today. Um, Wish I was actually sitting on the beach, but you guys know I'm not. However,
Look, I'll be
so
there Friday.
we can't be friends anymore, Letitia. I'm sorry. All right. So in order to enjoy this spring market, there are some things that I think that we should stop doing, and there are some things that we should start doing for the spring season. And we're going to dive in and talk about these at a very high level view for our participants today, and then I've got an announcement for you about future foundations trainings and some changes that we're going to make. Okay. So let's launch into this. I want this to be very, very interactive and very participatory. So this is not one where you guys just sit and watch me flip through slides. All right. So we're going to have conversations. I want you guys to be active and engaged in this. And I am going to launch straight in. Again, to recap, we have got 10 things that we're going to stop and start doing in the spring of 2023. 5 things that I suggest that we start doing, and then there's going to be some 5 things that we stop doing to ourselves and to our clients as we are entering this new season. All right. So the first thing that we as new licensees, new agents, or even experienced agents is to focus on meeting people. I cannot tell you how many times I coach with new agents or with new licensees, and they're like, well, I can't possibly talk to somebody. I don't know everything that I need to know. Or "Oh, wait, what if they ask me a question that I don't have the answer to?" I kind of hope that they do. I hope it forces you to go back and to find out that answer. And I hope it gives you the opportunity to use your skill set of diffusing things and overcoming objections and go, you know what? I'm not sure. There's been some changes in the laws about that recently. Let me do a little bit of research and I'll get back to you on it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that sentence. You can feel free to say, I don't know everything that I need to know. Okay. So we want to focus on meeting people. It's often said that the agent who speaks to the most people will sell the most real estate. Okay. Look around at some of the most productive agents in our office and think about the kind of personality type that they have, or even some of the skills that they demonstrate on a daily basis. Look at guys like Rip Pruitt. Could he not talk to any human being on the planet? I guarantee you that guy could. Same thing with Bob Duncan. Same thing with David McGee. Those guys can carry on a conversation and focus on meeting those people more so than prospecting. We tend to find ourselves getting hyper focused on lead generation and finding those clients without internalizing that the network that you already have can be the most productive source of business for you. Okay. It's not always about meeting new people. Sometimes it's about meeting the people and focusing on the people that you already know. Okay. And this goes right back to our ninja selling too. Throughout Ninja, we talked about focusing on people. And this is another great tip. Exploring hobbies that involve other people, strengthen your weak ties through re-engagement on social media, and joining business groups. Golly, how many times have we talked about this? Networking through business groups is a great way to focus on those people. Okay. Any questions, or does anybody have anything to add? Nicole, you've been doing a lot of networking stuff lately. Has it been productive? Are you finding that to be useful?
Yeah, and it's kind of fun too.
Oh, there you go.
um, no, but I do a lot of the stacking one-on-one meetings after I do the networking event. And that's where I'm really like growing my relationships with people, not
There
necessarily
you
just
go.
at the networking event. So
Yeah, if all you're doing is going to the networking event and social, being the social butterfly and flitting around the room, you're not going to get very far. You got to have those in-depth conversations, and we're going to talk about some more things that are going to help with that too. Love
and
that input.
also I just don't show up one time and expect to get a lead because that's really hard for networking too. At first you think you're gonna meet someone right away that wants to buy a house, but also you have to keep showing up and so
Yep,
people keep seeing you and then you meet more people every time and yeah.
absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Totally, totally, absolutely the gospel truth. All right. So, other than focusing on meeting people, that's item number one. What do you guys think is something else that we can do to start doing in 2023? I'm just gonna give it to y'all. So you can always increase your knowledge. All right. Grow your skill set, increase your knowledge, take some classes. Everybody has gaps in their knowledge. You may be weak in FMLS, or you may be weak in Georgia MLS or something along those lines. You may be struggling with a CMA. That's a big one. Clients are becoming much more sophisticated and highly educated, not only about the real estate business, about interest rates, but about the markets that they're in, and actually marketing. So you need to increase your knowledge, and it doesn't cost you anything other than time and effort. Okay, take advantage of some learning that we have either here within the building on Century 21 University or dozens of other sites. FMLS has great tutorials on their site. It's unbelievable. Also, when your knowledge improves, your conversations will jump as the quality of your conversion will jump as your quality of your real estate conversations improves. So the more you're able to eloquently talk about the market to somebody, your conversion rate's going to go up just simply because you're more comfortable in having a conversation about it. It's just that simple. Okay. So take advantage, take some classes, and enjoy learning some more about our business. Okay. The third thing that we absolutely have got to start doing in our business in 2023, in the spring of 23, is acting like you believe in yourself. Oh, golly, you guys know who's on this call that I literally last week somebody on this call said to me, I'm not comfortable in these conversations yet. I need to feel better about this, and we pushed the limits, didn't we? And he literally made a phone call on the spot and did a great job. So believe in yourself. You can do this. We all have moments where we slip. It as absolutely normal, regardless of how we feel. We need to stand up straight, act like we believe in yourselves. We've all heard the adage. This is related, and we can have a conversation about how you feel about this. The whole "fake it until you make it" conversation. Um, there are some aspects of that I disagree with. There are some aspects of it that I completely wholeheartedly agree with. Sometimes you just got to stop using it as an excuse for not having a conversation and just step outside of your comfort zone and go there. You will enjoy it in the end. Okay. All right. And this is a truism that I cannot emphasize enough. Um, that the magic of this is self-confidence follows when you're acting confident, not the other way around. It's not that you have to know everything in order to feel confident. It's that you feel confident in order to sound like you are confident. Does that make sense? Trust me. Get out there, step outside your comfort zone. You will believe in yourself, and it will help you in your business and your conversion. All right. We've talked about this before. You've heard this quote from Mike about a million times. Take control of your habits, take control of your life. Managing our behaviors and our temptations in this new year is absolutely of critical importance. When you really think about it, real estate is really just stringing together a bunch of positive behaviors day after day. Time blocking to have time set aside for prospecting, time blocking for doing your CRM maintenance and reaching out to your client base. All of these are good habits that we need to make and keep and repeat them day after day after day. If we do this, we will be successful. If there's a silver bullet in real estate, it's this: is that all you have to do is have good habits, and you can have a good business. All right. Know that inevitably, just like me and everybody else, at some point you're going to be pulled off of your pathway, and that is okay that you veer off the pathway. But just be careful, because anytime you do something and you get off track for 2+ days, after 2 days, habits begin forming, and not good habits, but in this case, a bad habit. Okay. So stay on top of your habits. Make sure you are stringing together good positive behaviors. You know what? I had one. I'll give you a good example that I recognized in myself over this weekend. I have a client. We put an offer in on a house. We set the offer in. We were waiting for a response, and she actually came back to me and she said, "You know what? I'm having second thoughts about this house. Can you go ahead and pull the offer?" And I had a dilemma. I said, okay, I could go ahead and I could do a withdrawal of the offer on a GAR form and send it in. I could also just wait until we hear the response and see what they respond with, because they could have said yes, right? And then I could go back to my client and go, I know you said no, but they have responded and they would accept your offer, and see if that changed anything. But what do we have a duty to our clients? What is one of the duties that we have to our clients?
Obedience.
Bingo. We have a duty of obedience. And part of me was like, you know what? It would make no difference whatsoever if we just didn't send in that termination or that withdrawal of the offer, and just wait and see what happens. And then we could always terminate in due diligence. But the reality of it is my client told me I want to pull the offer. I have a duty of obedience to her. So guess what? That's what we did. I submitted the form, and ironically enough, when I submitted it, the agent that took the withdrawal was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear this." And gave me some very clear indications that it looked like they were going to accept her offer. Doesn't matter. Good habit, obedience. Follow what you know is right. Follow it and do it. Simple as it sounds. All right. Anybody have any questions or anything to add to that? I would love to hear any other input anybody's got. Okay. Fifth thing, the last thing to start doing in
Jay, I'm
2025.
sorry. It took me a second to come off mute. So are you sure? I guess this depends on when you know your client, instead of a hypothetical, but are you sure that she knew that even if the offer was accepted, she still had time? Like, should you have explained that to her just so she knew you're still not obligated even if they accept it?
And I did.
Yeah.
And that was still her decision. So yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go back. All right. So in your conversations, so this goes right back to what Nicole was talking about earlier in her networking, is when you're having your conversations, it is your attitude of being curious and empathetic throughout those conversations that is absolutely critically important. If you want your conversion to skyrocket, learn to increase your curiosity and empathy in your conversations. All right. And this goes beyond just having the ones that you're going to have a transaction with. It's every conversation that you have. It's the bagger at the grocery store. It's the person across the pump from you at the gas station. Is you genuinely want to listen. When somebody asks you a question like, "What's the market doing?" Well, I don't know. Depends. Are you a buyer or a seller? You want to be able to respond and engage with them at a very at something deeper than just the surface level. All right. Learn to dig deep into the conversations, ask them pointed questions, ask them about their what's the acronym that we always talk about? It's a car. Go ahead, Nicole. I saw you doing it.
Ford.
Which is
Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
dreams. Those are always great topics to bring up and to engage in those conversations. Love it. Thank you very much for pointing that out. Love it. Um, and do all of this with empathy. Everyone is on their own path. They may be dealing with something that you're not aware of. Um, be mindful of that. All right, so that's 5 things to start doing. Now let's talk about 5 things that we're going to stop doing. Item number 1, rushing your success. I know this is easy to say when you don't have bills to pay and closings to make and responsibilities to your family, but you got to give yourself a little bit of grace. This is not to mean that you shouldn't be acting with a level of urgency. However, it should mean that you need to understand that it's going to take a little bit of time, and it's okay. And this is a long game. This is not a sprint, it is a marathon, and you need to treat your business as such. There are times when you're going to sprint at the very beginning, and then there's going to be some times when you're going to stop and catch your breath and walk for a little bit too. So be mindful of that. All right. Yep. Totally agree. Everybody's on the chat going, "Oh my gosh, that's me." You are correct. All right. And here's what I can tell you from experience. And if anybody else has had the same experience on the call, I need you to weigh in. But the irony of it is when you give yourself a little grace and you shift your mindset to long-term success, that is typically when you find yourself experiencing some short-term success. It is ironic. It is kind of a universal truism, kind of like Murphy's Law. Has anybody actually experienced that firsthand? Is sometimes when you change your mindset to long-term success, the next thing you know, something happens in the short term that you go, "Oh, wait a minute. Hey, hold on. This is actually working." Anybody have that? I know I feel like I've had that, but it's been too long ago that I don't know that that feeling is fresh enough for me to recall. That's why I was hoping one of you would. All right, let's go back. All right, so stop rushing your success. It will come in time. Everyone has their own path, their own pace, and just because yours is different, don't be hard on yourself. Likewise, comparing yourself to others. Everybody wants to use the top producers in the office as their benchmark, and that's great. But everyone is going to do this occasionally. But you got to be mindful of what that does to your attitude. Comparing yourself to others and always falling on the short end of the stick can actually drain your energy. Um, it will rob you of your success. It actually steals your joy. And I cannot agree with this more. Stop looking at others for your motivation. Look internally for that motivation. Okay. So here's a great solution. Wish your college colleagues more success when you see a positive post or anything online. If you congratulate somebody and celebrate their success and acknowledge it, it actually helps you to kind of adopt that same mindset for yourself. And by deflection, it kind of becomes part of your DNA too. I like this. Okay. So it's the opposite of doing exactly of comparing yourself to others. Celebrate somebody else's successes, and then it'll help you to emphasize your own successes. All right. When your happiness is tied to something in the future, then your present is diminished. You don't feel happy, confident, or successful, but maybe in the future you will be, or so the logic goes. And I think that logic is slightly flawed. You need to be in the present with your attitude and with your self-confidence level. Okay. I couldn't say this enough. And this is difficult to say, but it is important to say. Calling of FSBOs and expires can be a very, very productive business model, but it should not be entered into lightly. If you're not prepared to do this, you shouldn't be doing it. You should not be engaging in this unless you're going to be doing it in a seller's market. There's great ways that you can find success, but it is difficult. Okay. If you're not participating in things like the Monday practice sessions religiously, if you're not doing script rehearsals with your peers and with other agents that are doing cold calling, if you're not practicing overcoming objections and doing the kind of things that we saw Bob and David McGee doing on Connect Wednesday last week, if this is not you and you're not engaged enough in your business, it's probably not a good idea for you to be calling FSBOs or expireds if that is indeed the case. Okay. Oops, I need to move my picture over there. But I would say, as opposed to calling FSBOs and expired, maybe adopting the more personal approach, the ninja approach, and maybe taking a couple of past clients or past friends or old friends or acquaintances out to lunch or out to dinner is a better business model for you to engage in than cold calling. Okay. Can you be very successful if you want to engage and be engaged in your business enough to do these things? You can be very successful at it. But if you're not going to do those things, maybe a better business, a better vertical would be a better choice for you. All right. This one is a good one. Reversing the 80-20 rule. All right. Everybody understands the 80-20 is the principle that asserts that 80% of the outcomes or the outputs results from 20% of all the inputs. Okay. So this refers to where you're investing your marketing dollars. And hopefully you are investing marketing dollars, but as we've seen, you don't necessarily have to be successful. But it is so common with agents, they spend 80% of their marketing investment. And that could be dollars. It could also be your time, your money, your energy on strategies that only lead to 20% of their success. Okay. So it's kind of important to know what leads to success. So that's where you can use tracking of reports like where the source of your business is coming from. And we have all of that and we record all of that in BrokerMint for you. All right. So instead of doing the 80-20 the wrong way, you want to reallocate 80% of your investment into the stream of business that is leading to 80+% of your income. It sounds simple. It's a lot more difficult to actually execute. Okay. All right. And the fifth thing that we want to stop doing in 2023 is neglecting your health. And if you have seen any photographs of me recently, you've noticed that I've made some major changes in my life recently with a weight loss of over 70 pounds. I hope you can draw a little bit of energy and enthusiasm from that because I was not doing this for several years and I have changed that focus and has made a big difference in my life, in my relationships, as well as my business. All right. So don't neglect yourself in these situations. You got to stay positive. You got to focus on your health. All right. And in turn, it will impact your business positively, as I just have experienced also. All right. I finished 4 minutes early. Can you believe it? Anybody have any questions, any topics of discussion? Anyone got anything you want to add? Okay, here's the big announcement. All right. We have historically been doing 2 foundation sessions per week. This one on Monday at 11 o'clock, or I'm sorry, at 10 o'clock, and Thursday at 10 o'clock. And quite often, one of those, and sometimes both of those sessions have been dedicated towards Moxie as one of our learning tools, as all of us have been in getting up to date on Moxie. However, what I have discovered is that as an organization and as the vice president of learning and agent development, I'm missing out on educating a whole bunch of more experienced agents on Moxie because they're not participating in the foundations group, which is primarily designed for you guys, which are fairly new licensees. So we're going to change things up a little bit. We are still going to do foundations focused on new licensees on Thursday at the normal time, 10 o'clock. However, Monday, this will be our last Monday foundation session at 10 o'clock. Instead, we're going to turn things around and we're going to start doing a Moxie Monday. And Moxie Monday is going to be focused on something specific with the Moxie system. We're going to do it at 11 o'clock, and we're going to do it both via Zoom, and we're going to do it in person in the training room on the big screen. Okay, so we're going to do a 30-minute lesson type situation to educate you on a particular skill set within Moxie. And then we're going to actually break. And I will stick around. We'll have everything on the screen. Bring your laptop. If we're talking about loading contacts into your Moxie, we'll do the lesson plan, and then we'll stop and I'll help anybody with uploading their contacts into their Moxie at that point. And we'll do it as long as we need to. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to do it at 11:30, immediately after the foundations huddle we're going to do it after the mortgage huddle on Monday. Okay, so it'll bleed a little bit into that lunch hour, but that's the time when most of our agents are physically in the office, and that's when I want to capture the vast majority of everybody for this type of training. Any questions? Tracy, you had your hand up a minute ago. Did I answer it already?
Yes, you had said 11 o'clock on Mondays, but then you came back and changed it.
I'm sorry.
Got it. Okay.
It's actually going to be 11:30. Thank you. So we have the huddle, Mortgage Monday at 11, and 11:30 we're going to do Moxie Monday, and it'll be a 30-minute planned session, and then as long as we need after that for otherwise. Okay?
So it will be available for Zoom?
It absolutely will be available via Zoom. It'll just be recorded, and it will be a live session. The amount of work that I'll be able to do on somebody else's Moxie that's not physically in the room might be a little bit limited because of that, but it'll still be available and still be recorded so that everybody can partake and view it later.
Okay. And this is how it will be moving forward, or is this for just a certain amount of time?
It's going to be for a while until we get everybody up to speed on Moxie. Okay. Any other questions? All right, everybody. Have a great week.